welcome to Captain's Log, episode number 8. My name is Chris, also known as Rachel Garrett, on SEOwiki.org and StarbaseUTC.com. First of all, I'd like to address some comments I got for last week's episode. Basically, I got 2 comments suggesting to me that the editing that I do ends up making, well, the show sound a bit uneven. Let's phrase it that way. Well, the reason I do editing is I want to get out ums and ams, well, as I speak into the camera, and don't want to trouble you with that. As you can clearly hear, I'm not a native English speaker, and this is basically why I edit the show. So I hope that it is more listener-friendly that way. But the comments suggest otherwise, and I got a really straight-up comment telling me that I should stop editing the show altogether, and that would make it, well, be more natural and a more natural delivery. And yeah, we can try that. I will try it in this show, and you'll get all the ahs and ams, and you'll see me struggling for words and having some long pauses. And, well, tell me in the comments if you like that better or not. You have 7 other episodes to compare it with. Something else that I read was I should stop reading the show. I don't read the show. I only have the show notes. Last time I didn't have any show notes because there was not much to report on. So basically what you have in the show notes on YouTube is everything that I have as a script. These are just some bullet points that remind me of the topics I want to cover. So for example, for this segment I have a note, less editing, ? Tell me if the show is better. So, and this is all that I have in writing when I moderate a section like this. So, although it doesn't sound that way to some of you, I'm not reading what I'm saying all the time. So, and actually, last episode I did completely without show notes. I just spent a bit of thought of what I wanted to say, and then I stepped in front of the camera and then I said it. So, that's all. So, and, well, there's another point. I do not want to spend too much time on this, but maybe you can give me some feedback on that as well. What's the relevance of this show, actually? Because we have less than 200 viewers a week, and I'm doing this for 2 months straight now. So if it's only 200 people I'm doing the show for, then, well, that's great, because 200 people are a lot of people. But on the other hand, it's only a minority of the Stoke community, and well, an insignificant minority, I have to say. And, well, I made this show basically because when Stoke went off the air, I thought that our community would need a video podcast. But maybe I was wrong, or I'm the wrong guy doing it, and, well, maybe I should stop. I'll give it, I guess, 2 more shows, and we'll see where we go. But I'm pretty much certain at this point that this show lacks its relevance, actually. And there's just another guy talking and, well, congesting the internet with his videos, and, well, I don't want to do that and go on anyone's nerve and broadcast, well, just for the sake of broadcasting. I have other things to do. For example, build my starbase, my fleet starbase. And so, with that out of the way, I would like to start with some track news. I can tell you, this week is quite the opposite of last week. We'll have a really, really big show. So let's get started. So the first bit of news I want to cover is a collector's edition from La La Land Records that has not gone out yet, but I'm a bit excited about this. It is about a Star Trek The Original Series soundtrack collection on 15 CDs. Yes, you heard correctly, 15 CDs, and it is supposed to include every little bit of music that was produced for Star Trek The Original Series. And even more so, allegedly half of the stuff was not even used on the show. So you will get a really, really big collection of, well, Star Trek soundtrack that was never used or that did never air. And there is no price yet on that set. It's just scheduled for this year, and I'll give you a link in the show notes where you can go to La La Land Records and watch a YouTube clip where, well, the sound engineers and the producers of this collection explain how this set came about and what they are doing to remaster the sound. Then there is a new podcast produced by Rod Eugene Roddenberry and one Trevor Roth, and they do not host this podcast. The podcast is hosted by Ken Ray and John Champion, and these are podcast veterans, and you can listen to that on missionlogpodcast.com. The podcast is centered around a new episode of Star Trek each week, and they are starting with the original The Cage, and they are making their way through all of the series and all of the episodes, and, well, they want to review them based on their relevance for today, and, well, from a kind of meta perspective, more philosophical discussion of the show. So I listened to the first episode, which is roughly an hour, and I have to say, well, this is really a nice format. I was a bit skeptical when I read about it, and I thought, well, there's enough of the stuff out on the web, but these two guys make it fun and entertaining, and I liked listening to them, and they really found some really interesting aspects in this episode that I didn't thought about previously, and, well, I just want to recommend it to you. Go ahead, check it out, and, well, hopefully we'll get a new episode from this crew every new week from now on. Former Star Trek stars have been busy last week. First off are Simon Pegg and Sir Patrick Stewart with a video for Funny or Die. And this is really funny, I have to say. Check the link in the show notes. That was hilarious. Second is not as hilarious, but, well, even a bit creepy, I have to say. Michael Dorn went to Kickstarter to go and fund a romantic comedy called Through the Fire, Life After Star Trek. And he has written this piece, and he wants to act and direct it, and he has gained the support of Marina Sirtis, aka Deanna Troi, and also Armin Shimmerman, aka Quark from Deep Space Nine, which will also play roles in this movie if it comes about. The Kickstarter campaign hasn't taken off yet. It still has a way to go in order to achieve its, I guess, $350,000 goal, and there's only a tenth of that in yet. And well, there was a good deal in one Kickstarter bundle where Michael Dorn was selling his TNG pinball machine for $5,000. And I think whoever bought that piece made a really, really good deal. But, well, I'm not so sure if I want to see a romantic comedy with Michael Dorn and Marina Sirtis. And, well, we'll have to see how this pans out. Go ahead, I have the link in the show notes, go on Kickstarter, make up your own mind, and, well, watch the fundraiser video, I was not too impressed by this effort. Sadly, I have to say. Last time I read an interview with Michael Dorn, he said that he was trying to get CBS fund a direct-to-DVD movie with him starring as Captain Worf aboard the USS Defiant, and he had written that piece. Maybe this Kickstarter project is, well, his backup plan, because CBS is not interested in creating anything in the Prime Trek universe at this moment, or at least not with former TNG stars. So we'll have to see and wait how this works out. And then I have a ton of fan fiction videos to cover, and well, let's get started in order, shall we? First off was Mignogna's Star Trek Continues, where they want to do basically the same thing as Star Trek Phase 2 does. They want to continue the original 5-year voyage of Star Trek the original series. And they started with reenacting the final scenes from Turnabout Intruder, which was the final episode of Star Trek the original series. And you can take a look at the scene on Vimeo.com. I have to say, although I'm a large fan of Mignogna's work in general, I'm not sure if he is the right guy to play Captain Kirk. But please go ahead and take a look for yourself and make up your own mind about this. Then, as I mentioned previously, Star Trek Phase 2, aka Star Trek New Voyages, has also a new video out this week, which is a vignette to to bridge the previous episode with the coming one, introducing a new Captain Kirk, aka Brian Gross, and also a refitted version of the classic Enterprise, which is, roughly speaking, a blend of the classic USS Enterprise and its motion picture refitted versions. So after getting lots of bruises after from the last episode, the Starship Enterprise is getting a refit, and well, it looks good. It really looks good. Quality of the rendering is good. I think Brian Gross makes a promising Kirk. Not as amazing as I thought, but we'll stay tuned in for more from Star Trek Phase 2. Then, and I found this by accident actually, is a new fan series called Star Trek Secret Voyage. And they released their first episode last week. Go ahead, check it out. The story, the backstory is kind of mind-boggling, I have to say. Or, well, it takes a lot to swallow it. Basically, what happens is that between the 5-year mission of Captain Kirk and the motion picture, a special task force of Starfleet officers is given the USS Enterprise to perform a secret mission to start negotiations with a previously unknown and mysterious race to, well, secure rights to a new alternative to dilithium, which is more potent, more powerful, and might give the Federation a clear advantage over the Romulans or Klingon empires. And, well, it was fun. It was a bit shaky at times, especially the audio quality was a bit problematic because sound effects were too heavy and you had problems listening to some of the scenes, but overall this was really great effort and you should go ahead, check that out. Bring 40 minutes, it's clearly worth your time, and I'm really impressed by this. Again, it's astonishing how much good fan fiction in video Star Trek currently has, and as always, these guys will improve over time, I'm certain of it, and if they do, they have something really good going on there, especially because the crew has some professional actors on their team. I've put a link to their website in the show notes. Go ahead, check them out. You can check out the background of the crew, and well, that's a really good start for a fan series. So this was a lot of track news this week, but it doesn't stop there. There is some track news in gaming. Gaming news for Star Trek are kind of sad. Although we can look forward to the new cooperative Star Trek game set in the J.J. Abrams universe, a traditional timeline game known as Star Trek Infinite Space has been cancelled. This was developed by the German developer Gameforge and was supposed to be a free-to-play action, tactic, MMO, kind of Starfleet Command basically. But, well, again, the game has been cancelled completely. It had been on hold for about 6 months now, more than 6 months actually, because the publisher left the team alone actually, and they tried to get into negotiations with Bigpoint, but these didn't turn out that well, and well, the game didn't come out. I know that they were under a lot of schedule pressure, so, and maybe in the end they just hadn't the time anymore to find a new publisher. That is probably what I think that happened. And also with Star Trek Online going free to play, which it was not when the game was first announced, I think there's also no market for a game like this. When you can play Star Trek Online for free and it has both tactical space combat and also, well, respectable third-person shooter ground combat, then what do you want with a browser game? What do you want with a browser-based, free-to-play tactics game, 2D tactics game, basically? I think there was no business model anymore behind that game, actually. So, sad news, but I think it's for the best, because in the end, I think this game would have failed terribly. So, let's continue to a ton of Star Trek Online news. So, we got a new patch last week in Star Trek Online. First things first, mines were revamped completely. And, well, in essence, they are more powerful. They do more damage, and the powers associated with mines have been boosted. But in absolute numbers, you deploy fewer mines. And also, quite notably, now you are able to craft heavy phaser satellite turrets. If you're a Federation player, you are able to craft phaser turrets, and if you are a Klingon player, you are able to craft Disruptor turrets. And beside the point that these are really fun, in my opinion, that you can drop phaser turrets on the battlefield, you also need them to complete some Starbase Fleet projects. And actually this was quite a pain, in my opinion, because the only way to craft them was through the duty officer system, and you had a really high chance of failing to craft them. They were really hard to get because you were dependent on finding the right assignments in the right sector blocks, and then you only got a schematic and you needed to invest more time and more samples, rare samples, to craft them eventually, and you had a chance to fail this crafting process. Then you got some, you were not allowed to play with them because you had to put them aside the next time you needed them to complete a fleet project, and you went through all that trouble and all that pain, and you didn't get the fun deploying them on the battlefield. So this is really great, because, well, actually I thought that the duty officer system was on the best way to make the crafting system to totally obsolete, because now you can craft a lot of stuff in the duty of the system that you cannot get from the real crafting system. Like, for example, lots of for example, a lot of consumables and MK12 consoles. So it was nice to see something being added to the traditional crafting system to make it more relevant. Yeah, then there was a bit of movement on the C-Store. Now the account bank has been unlocked for silver players as well. Gold players had 20 bank slots already, and now you can buy more bank slots up to a total of 40 account bank slots. And this limit applies to both silver and gold players. Only gold players start with 20. The problem here is that gold players get this bonus even if they are former gold players and are now free to play silver players. So if you had a gold account once upon a time, you get 20 account slots. And I don't see why. The problem is also with the pricing. You need to buy them in packs of 10 with $1 per slot. So you need to spend $10 for each row of account-wide bank slots for a total of $40 if you want to get a full account bank. And so gold players get $20 worth of bank slots for free, even if they were only subscribed for 1 month at $15. So I don't see the business logic behind that. And there was a new Sovereign variant announced on the Season 6 dev blog. We will get a pay for power, pay to win variant of the Sovereign class called the Region class, but no details were revealed on the stats, but there are 2 screenshots posted out there also in the so-called gallery, but actually what was released there were little more than thumbnails. Please, Cryptic, if you want to get people excited about these ships, release full HD wallpaper quality images of these ships, not iPod-sized little previews, and make a news about that. So, and this morning when I checked the website, I've seen the first promotion for subscription to Star Trek Online since it went free to play. And what PWE wants you to do is to spend $30 for 3 months of gold membership to Star Trek Online. And what you get in return are basically 1,500 Zen points. This is quite attractive, however, if you have not been a member of Star Trek Online recently and you want to level up a new character. So if you have started playing and have reached level 9, then it's the perfect time to invest the $30, then level up, get your free account slots, and, well, try to make it to Vice Admiral before your subscription runs out. So, I guess that is a scenario for which this offer is the most viable for. If you're a Vice Admiral player at max level, then, well, this is certainly not for you, because you get 1,500 Zen points for $30 instead of 15. So don't do that if you're already at max level right now. So, and we got a new Ask Cryptic by Daniel Stahl, and I want just to go through some points here. He announced that there will be new ways to grind fleet marks. So we will probably get a wrapper for Foundry missions to get fleet marks, and we will get wrappers or alternative rewards for episode replay probably. Then a lot of players mentioned that small fleets are having trouble getting the starbase up to speed, and well, Daniel Stahl basically said, well, we will add new ways to grind for fleet marks, but he didn't say anything about, well, we will make it easier for small fleets because the amount of fleet marks you need for a project will scale depending on your fleet size. Nothing like this is in the works, so you will get more ways to grind fleet marks, but as always, larger fleets will have no problem at all leveling up, and well, smaller fleets, they will have to have a really dedicated core community of at least 5 players who play regularly and grind for fleet marks, because otherwise they have no chance at all to building their starbase. So as Daniel Stahl stated previously, Season 7 will be all about story. And this will be in the form of a new sector block that will be opened up somewhere on the galaxy map, and that will be populated with story content over time during Season 7. Along with that new sector block, there might be a revamp of the sector blocks that we currently have, a new layout that is supposedly more efficient to navigate than what we have right now. But note, this won't be the great grand unified sector space map to rule them all, but basically what we have right now with several instances of these sector blocks that are glued together. This was hinted at by D. Stahl in his Ask Cryptic segment. And also there was a question, a very legitimate question in my opinion, about what we're supposed to do with our bridge officers at endgame. Well, let's face it, right now they don't have anything to do. The only mission I can think of right now that you can use them in endgame is the Xaria mine in the Defera sector block, where you can do a daily to grind dilithium. I think this is the only endgame mission we have right now that requires you to bring along DOFs, to bring along bridge officers, beside the explore unknown sector cluster random missions, and I don't think anyone does them right now. And yeah, Daniel Stahl said, yeah, they have realized that this might be a problem and they are going to address it one way or the other, maybe. Also, we should look out for a improved exchange UI. It happens sometimes during this Ask Cryptic that he would talk about features and talked about them in the near future that were already included in the last patch on Thursday, or that are visible right now on Tribble. And well, I'm not sure about the timing of this Ask Cryptic. It looks like he had written it more than a week ago, and it was published, well, too late actually to be of relevance in some areas. So this exchange improvement he mentioned alongside improvements to the fleet UI that we currently have. So when he says soon, this might be pretty darn soon. Also, there are some things in the pipeline, obviously, for mobile applications. You might remember that, well, or you may have heard, or you had the idea yourself, that the duty officer system lends itself very well to a tablet application, for example. So for the iPad or an Android application. And Daniel Stahl says, well, several people at Cryptic are currently exploring this possibility. Until now, the developers always said that, well, license agreements with CBS are not allowing them to publish mobile games. So maybe it is not the duty officer system that they are implementing for mobile devices, but some tool to check your captain status or to chat with friends in game or so, but actually that would be quite lame, don't you think? So nothing concrete there, but he said we should keep our eyes open and expect something like that. So we'll wait and see how this turns out. Also, something that's on the wish list for as long as I can remember is releasing the final Borg STF called Into the Hive, and this was already announced and has a trailer during the early days of Star Trek Online, when Greg Sienkiewicz was still in command as the executive producer of Star Trek Online, and this STF never got finished. And especially since Goza left the team, the problem is that the most knowledgeable person who would be able to complete this project has left Cryptic, actually, and now other developers have to continue his work. And Daniel Stahl said that a week ago the mission was first played in internal testing, and actually he said it was quite fun to fight the Borg Queen, but there were a lot of bugs on the way getting to that end boss, and so this mission will keep being in development and stay there for a while longer, but it's really nice to hear that there's still development going on there. Also, during the next year we should see a new tutorial at Starfleet Academy, and Stahl said that, well, this was on the schedule before the decision was made to migrate Star Trek Online to free-to-play. And, well, now that this migration, this transition has been completed successfully, now they have the time to go back and try to work a tutorial back into the Starfleet Academy map. And he says that we should be tuned for an update to the tutorial during the next year. And also on the content front, they are looking into Foundry missions to fill in the gap from level 1 to 20 to finally offer a complete character progression in the Klingon campaign, so that you will be able to start playing as a Klingon captain at level 1 and make up your way through the ranks using copy frozen Foundry content basically. And well, this got quite a few positive remarks on the Foundry community basically. Of course there are these negative voices who said, well, now the community is doing what Cryptic should have done on, well, release day. But, well, better to have it this way than never, because the promise was made to flesh out, to create a full-blown Klingon faction since, well, the early days of development basically, and we are still not there yet. So actually demanding that the developers now continue building up the Klingon faction while Starfleet is getting twice the amount of content with each new patch is quite unrealistic actually, and we should be glad that there is a Foundry tool and there are these missions and that they are put to good use, because there are good Foundry missions that are good enough to serve as templates for a Klingon mission progression, in my opinion. So, well, I'll stop here, I guess. There's a link in the show notes to the full Ask Cryptic Q&A, and final bit of news, Stahl introduces a new senior character artist in this post, with the name of Stephen Ekholm. And Stephen Ekholm was a character artist at 38 Studios, and well, that's actually a sad story. The studio went bankrupt in June due to poor management, as I've read on massively actually, and seems to be quite a talented guy. Here's a private website where you can check out his work, and well, his biography includes prominent titles such as EverQuest, Star Wars Galaxies, Magic the Gathering Tactics, and also The Agency. And I've put a link in the show notes and you can check out his artwork on his private website, and well, he'll be a fine addition, I guess, to the Star Trek Online development team. So, this was quite a packed show this week, and you got it mostly unedited. I made a few edits, I guess, because sometimes I just needed to go back and redo a segment or so. But you will see noticeably, you have experienced noticeably fewer cuts and edits and more bloopers than previously. And so go into the comments, tell me what you think about doing the show this way. It'll for sure it will save me a lot of editing work. I'm not sure if it is more pleasant to listen to, but well, I'll let that up to you. Tell me what you think. Also, tell me how you think this podcast fits into the Star Trek Online community. If it's valid or viable to continue doing this podcast. And of course, I will see you. I will at least try to get 10 episodes out, so I'll see you next time. And of course, out there, good night and good luck.